Welcome to the Classy Career Girl podcast. I'm your host, Anna Runyon, founder and CEO of Classy Career Girl, one of Forbes' most influential career sites. This is a podcast for a community of women who want to turn their passions into work they love. You'll learn how to become happy, successful, and balanced with class, skill, and style. We believe that you can create your future. So stop delaying your great life. Go put yourself out there. You can have your great life and career right now. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Classy Career Girl podcast. We are continuing our series of 13 time management habits of highly effective women. Today we are on habit number 2, and we're going to talk about setting boundaries. Now, if you missed part 1, make sure you go back and listen to that because that was all about planning your day. And oh my goodness, I posted about this on Instagram and I shared my free to-do list template that's printable, and so many of you have opted into that. I was so amazed. So I wanted to make sure and share that here as well. If you want my free to-do list printable template to help you plan out your day, you can get that at www.classycareergirl.com/to-do list. That's the to-do list that I use every single day. So once you've planned out your day, you're going to realize we've got to set some boundaries. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. It's so important to set boundaries. And I'm going to hopefully this episode's going to be a little bit shorter than part 1. My goal is to get these done in about 10 minutes. So they're just these quick listens that you can listen to take action, to improve your time management habits so that you can reach your goals and your dreams. Part 1 was kind of a big announcement, so that one was a little longer. If you've not heard our big personal family announcement, make sure you go back and listen to part 1. Today, let's talk about boundaries, and a big one I'm going to be talking about is social media, and it's also going to be a lot of the administrative time of the work that I do as well, because if you aren't careful, you're going to waste a lot of time without setting boundaries. So let's talk about this. The big one, the elephant in the room, the big one is social media. So I don't have this very well outlined today. I really just want to give you behind the scenes of the boundaries I've placed in my life since the beginning of this year that have allowed me to free up more of my time so that I can focus on things that are very important to me. And like you, I'm very busy. I have 3 kids. When I put a lot of these boundaries in place in January, my youngest daughter had just turned 1. And so I was feeling like I could finally, like the 1-year mark after your baby's born, I feel like is always so refreshing to me. I feel like I kind of come back to myself and I can start to create some of these boundaries. And so that's what I did, and it really helped me. So today's episode is just going to be behind the scenes. Here's some things that have helped me about setting boundaries. Pick and choose which ones you want to place in your life as well so you can free up more time for what's most important. So let's talk about social media. The first thing I did back in January when I knew I had some big goals and dreams and I needed to make some changes in my life is I took Facebook off of my phone. And this was crucial. This was so important because what I was doing, I was wasting a lot of time on Facebook. I was actually reading the news on Facebook, and it was not always the best way for me to stay positive. It was just really kind of bringing me down. I was nursing, and so I was just doing a lot of Facebook while I was nursing, and it just wasn't a very fulfilling thing in my life. And so I still use Facebook because my group coaching program class that has a Facebook group, and I do keep in touch with a lot of my family and photos on Facebook as well. And I have the Classy Career Girl Network Facebook group as well. So, Facebook isn't going away. I just made the decision that I was only going to use Facebook when I was at my computer, and I was not going to have it on my phone. So that's been great. I have saved a lot of time with that. I also don't get the news on my phone either as well because I love the news. And so it can be very time consuming for me to scour the news and read the news. And so I no longer have that on my phone as well. And I'll tell you some things I've replaced it with. I also don't get notified with text messages anymore as well. So I was getting on my phone, I was getting bombarded with a lot of text messages and it was interrupting me. And one of the things I want to talk about today is that one of my top strengths is focus. And so if you take the Strengths Finder, you can find your top 5 strengths. I highly recommend it. And what I found is like I really need focus time. If I get distracted, it totally changes my mood, my attitude. I like if I'm recording this podcast and I got distracted by the kids coming in, I wouldn't know where to continue. Like it completely catches me off guard and it completely derails me when I'm interrupted because that's my number one strength is focus. And so knowing that about myself, I knew I was being interrupted a lot with text messages, great ones from my family, but they were still interrupting me during my work time. And so I took notifications off my phone. Actually, the text message app is like, it's actually hard to get to on my phone. So the apps that you don't want to access all the time and you're wasting time on, make them hard to get to. Like email on my phone. I made that really hard to get to because I was constantly checking email on my phone. I was waking up to email. So now it's hard to get to. So now I think twice, about going to check my email on my phone. And I prefer to do it when I'm at my laptop instead. So I'm not getting notifications. I'm also setting timers, so I'm not spending all day on social media. So every Monday I've set that boundary of creating my social media content and scheduling my social media content. And then on a daily basis, I'm in there like sharing Instagram stories, or I'm commenting back to people for like 5-10 minutes, but I'm not wasting time, never over 15 minutes on social media a day because I've already scheduled all that content ahead of time and I set timers too. So actually, it's kind of like a fun competition to time myself and see how fast I can get things done. I'm actually timing this. I use an app on my computer called Toggl, Toggl, Track. And I track how much time I'm spending on each role in my business. So at the end of the week, I can see how much time I'm spending and I can start to set better boundaries for each of the roles that I play in my company. So set timers, give yourself, I do this sometimes, I give myself 30 minutes to do something and I like set the timer and I really focus on trying to get that done in 30 minutes so that I can then do something else that's more fun and exciting. So I also have routines built in to my schedule now since January. So I have a morning routine, I have a nighttime routine. And so that has allowed me to not feel like I have to do things all the time and to feel this like overwhelm of, oh, these are all the things I need to do, like drink water and take my vitamins and work out. And like I used to feel like I have this huge list of things to do. And now I just have to do my morning routine and I have to do my night routine. And it feels just a lot less overwhelming. I also have our schedules on the wall as well. So one of my boundaries is creating schedules for our family and encouraging everyone to stick to those schedules. And so a lot of times, family wants to just go with the flow or, take nighttime really slowly and really late. And we don't do that anymore. We have certain times that we clean, certain times that we have dinners, certain times that we have our bedtime, certain times that we have reading time, certain times for quiet reading time, certain times for lights out and no more devices. And like everything is now all planned out and all scheduled out. And I didn't have that before. And so that's been really helpful because now the whole family we're all on the same page. And so my boundary, because I needed some time in the evening as well, just for myself. Right now, I'm just having like 30 minutes. I take a bath, I go through my nighttime list, I plan out the next day and all my to-dos, and that feels so good now. And I wasn't getting that time before. So that's kind of like my self-care alone time because I'm with kids all day. And so for me, that's my boundary, right? Like saying, I need this time, I need 30 minutes for myself at the end of the day, and creating a schedule so that my family can operate without me for those 30 minutes because they should be able to do that, right? So now everyone knows the routine. I will tell you, if you're One of the mom tips I have is before that bath, I spend 30 minutes with each of my daughters, and we do our reading time and our kind of like our nighttime routine. And so that way each of my daughters is getting their kind of their alone time, although it's not always alone, but focus time, right? I'm spending focus time with each of them. They each have their own books that we're reading, their own routines that we go through together. And so that has helped because then at 8 o'clock, when I want my bath time and my alone time, they feel like they have gotten time with me. And so there's not as much interruptions during that bath. Now, trust me, I'm not always alone during bath time with 3 kids. But I most of the times they can occupy themselves because I have spent time with them already in the night, and they know the routine and they know mama needs her mama time. We've talked about it, right? And so now there's certain times also of the week for certain things. So just like my night routine with the kids, there's certain times where I have my certain things that I need for myself. Those are my boundaries. Same thing for my work week. I have this year set really good boundaries for my work time. This year I've taken 2 days off a week, Wednesdays and Fridays, and so everything that I needed to do during the workday was being done Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. And I really blocked out those times, knowing, same for you, you are in charge of your calendar. I was in charge of my calendar. And so for me, that was really important to have those days where I could just pick up the kids from school. We could go to the playground. I could go take my daughter for a walk during nap. And I just didn't feel like I had a ton of to-dos in the business. And so those are my boundaries. That was my work time. Those were the hours that I had a boundary around the number of hours that I wanted to work in my business this year. And a big reason I did that is because I knew this month in July, I knew we were planning to go to Europe, and I was going to be homeschooling our kids, and we were going to have this big life change. And so back in January, I knew since this was coming, I knew I had 6 months to kind of get my life together and to get organized and to set these boundaries for myself so that we would be in a good place this month now to take off and go on this trip. And that I would have the time, I wouldn't be working 50, 60 hours a week, because I knew traveling with kids, I was going to need to have more of like a flexible arrangement, a flexible work schedule. And so I've realized it's more important to work on the right things than to work a lot of hours. And so this is coming from me. A couple years ago, I used to work 50 hours a week. I'm down to like 15 to 20 hours a week now, because I'm working on the right things rather than working a ton of hours. And so I've set those boundaries for myself so that I can achieve time with my family and achieve this travel adventure that we're about to go on as well. My clients know this too, so I check in every week with my clients. I think this is really important too when you're schedule or when you're doing your business. I also check in with my team once a week as well. And so if you can set those boundaries up, if you have a business too, so that your clients know when they can expect to see you in there, and then your team knows when they can expect to see you in Slack or responding to your questions as well. Those are boundaries that you want to set up ahead of time as well, so you're not daily checking in and answering questions. That I used to be like that too, and that can be really draining and overwhelming too. So you want to set those boundaries ahead of time as well, and then follow through. My clients see me every week. I have a video in there. I'm answering questions. They know that they can see me. I don't just escape for a month. I am in there every week, helping them and supporting them. I also work isn't my entire life. I can't be on social media all day when I'm with the kids. I'm with the kids. And so because my number one strength is focus on the Strengths Finder, this can be a good thing or a bad thing, by the way. Because my number one strength is focus, when I'm with the kids, it's really hard for me to think about work. It's really hard for me to talk to my husband about work because we work together. I have to just focus on keeping my kids alive because there's 3 of them. And oh my goodness, my 18-month-old, she is going so fast around the house trying to put everything in her mouth and climb on everything. and nothing is safe anymore. So I had to focus on keeping my kids alive right now. That is my focus. And so when I'm working, that is my focus. I am all in on work. I am focused. I am getting stuff done. I am tracking my time. And I'm using Toggle so I can see where, if I am wasting time. And I'm no longer on every social media site. That's another boundary I've set. Like, I used to be on Pinterest and Twitter and TikTok and LinkedIn and Instagram and Facebook and like all the social media sites, and I've drastically decreased. Oh my goodness, there's a new one that just came out, Threads, which I'm not on yet. I probably will be later this week, but that's another boundary, right? Like, I don't need to be on all the brand spanking new sites right away. I don't need to be that person on it right away. Boundaries. I'm no longer on every social media site. The people that want to hear from me, they know where to find me. Boundaries. Another boundary is no talking about work at 10 p.m. at night. So often my husband and I work together. So before kids, we could just hang out and talk about work all night. And now I'm so tired at night and I'm so ready for bed and I'm exhausted. Like, talking about work at night makes me really overwhelmed and stressed. And so we don't talk about work at night anymore. I also have done a huge sweep of my email unsubscribing and my social media as well. I have unsubscribed and deleted, unfollowed. I put on the blinders to online noise and to people I used to follow. Certain mentors and teachers are really important at certain times of our life, but there are times when we need to transition on and move on and learn from new people and learn from ourselves as well and grow. And so we don't have to keep following everyone online. I don't follow other career coaches either. So just look at who you're following, look at what you're putting into your brain, right? Is it filling you up or is it draining you? Ask yourself those questions. That's why when I was like on Facebook news all the time, it was draining me. It was like making me very emotional. It wasn't all positive news. I will tell you that. It was making me scared and fearful. And there was just been a lot of things going on in the news, right? And so the other thing that happened on January 1st, this is super weird. On January 1st, our TV broke. And it was actually one of the best things that could have happened because as a family, I mean, we spent quite a bit of time watching television. We liked watching family movies and the kids liked watching their TV shows, and we were on Netflix and Disney Plus and, just thought we had to have a TV. Well, our TV broke, and in January, we knew that we were moving in July and we were going to Europe. And so we knew we weren't buying another TV for 6 months, right? We were just like, sorry, kids, we're just going to have to deal with not having a TV. And that's been great because we've saved so much time. My husband and I used to watch a show every night on Netflix, and we don't do that anymore. We plan a trip to Europe instead, and we book Airbnbs, and we plan out like activities that we're going to do in Europe and create itineraries. And I've been working on all my homeschool plans because I'm now going to be the homeschool teacher for 4th grade and kindergarten. And so that's how I've spent the time instead, is either reading or learning about how to become a homeschool teacher, learning about the subjects I'm teaching, pre-reading the books and materials that we're going to be doing together next year. And so it's been a blessing that stupid TV broke. We also, another boundary, and it's kind of a funny boundary, but I've also gotten really clear with my husband about the boundary of like creating plans ahead of time and talking at night or in the morning about our schedule for the day and what's happening and who's watching the kids and who's taking the kids to this event, and piano is later I'm taking my daughter to. And so I think the third kid, when we had my third daughter, we really realized we have to schedule and plan out way more than we ever used to. And so we used to be able to wing it a little bit more. We used to be able to run a business and have 2 kids, but the third kid, it was like things need to be planned out ahead of time. And so that's a boundary that I have set with my husband of like, I don't do well with last minute changes, right? So can we please talk the night before or the morning of, so we're all planned out. So that's been really helpful. So talk to people about your boundaries as well. Don't be afraid to just like, communicate what you need so that you feel better. Journal today about some boundaries you want to set. Hopefully, I've inspired you, given you some ideas. Remember, one at a time. And the whole goal of creating boundaries is to free up your time. This is so important. You might not even know right now what you're freeing up your time for. But what it's going to be for is time for what's most important. We need to make time to free up your space, to free up your mind so that you can focus on what's important. So for me in January, I set these boundaries in place so I could free up my time. At that time, I didn't really realize it, but I ended up in February signing up for a half marathon back in May. And so because I started to free up the time, I started to go for walks every day. And I started to realize, hey, I do have time to train for a half marathon, because I was starting to eliminate the things that were draining and not giving me what I wanted for my life. I also freed up time for more reading this year. I've been reading a lot of amazing books. And now I'm reading books to prepare for homeschooling, and I'm reading the book like classics and stuff that I've never read before. So I'm super excited for that I get to read with my fourth grader next year. I'm freeing up time for learning Spanish this year. So I'm on my Duolingo. I think I have like a 250-day streak right now, which I'm super proud of. So freeing up time, that's been a goal since I was in high school, is to become fluent in Spanish. And so I'm back on that goal. I had a few years where I stopped that goal, and I'm back because that's really important to me. I want to make that happen. I freed up time to start planning for this trip and focusing on our dreams and goals as a family. Like I said, my husband and I stopped watching Netflix and we started planning our dreams at night instead. I freed up 5 minutes here and there, right? All those little, I always say 15 minutes a day is all you need to launch your dream career business. And I freed up like little 5-minute segments here and there. And even like little things, like I freed up time to like, pick up for 5 minutes. So that creates a lot of peace and calmness around my house when things are cleaned up. So saving time to focus on things that really do create that calmness and create like habits for your family and goals. Habits are something we're going to talk about during the series as we keep going. And one of the ways to create those habits is to free up the time. And that starts with what we talked about today, which is boundaries. So I'm excited for part 3. That is the next partner series. It's going to be about categorizing your time. And I can't wait to share with you how I have done this. So if you have not yet, make sure you go grab our free to-do list printable template at www.classycareergirl.com/to-do list. And share this episode on Instagram. Let me know what you thought. You can find me on Instagram at Classy Career Girl. I hope this has been helpful, and I will see you for our next part 3.